Welcome back to the channel, guys. I got some new Lexus information for you. Don't forget to hit that like button. I always forget to ask you guys for it. I don't know, it's just ridiculous. Anyways, I got some really good, exciting Lexus news for you, such as, well, it's all international stuff, but it's gonna be on the CT200 replacement. We're gonna talk about Lexuses being made in Canada. I pointed that way because that's north. And then there's also gonna be Lexuses being imported or exported to Mexico. So let's just hop onto the computer and dive into it. Jumping right into an article from Motor Authority. Lexus to replace the CT with a model smaller than the UX crossover. The CT is still being made and being bought in European countries and maybe some Asian countries as well. The CT in America was discontinued in 2017, which the article says right here. But I just wanted to bring you guys up to speed before we jump into the article. Now, this is something that really grabbed me by surprise. Even though I've seen this concept before, I was not expecting them to have a CT replacement. But the more I think about it, the more it makes sense. So let's dive into it. Its replacement is not going to be another hatchback. It will be smaller than the UX, right? Because a lot of people say the UX replaced the CT, which makes a lot of sense. It kind of did. I mean, it gets about the same on gas mileage, but it gives you all-wheel drive. It's about the same in terms of interior space. Actually, the UX has a little bit more, but I feel like Lexus with the CT, they're like, okay, well, we could have been even more successful if the CT was even smaller. So instead, they're going to be making something really small, based off the LF concept car. So I wasn't covering Lexus back in 2015, so let's just jump over to what this little thing is. It looks like a comic book. I'm just going to go over the pictures of it, but it does not look like a real car by any means. But the production version of this is definitely going to be something along the lines of the size of this car, which is very similar to like a Smart 4.2 or Smart 2.4 or 4.2 or 4.4. Gosh, I hate smart cars. But look how stylish this thing looks. It looks super cool. I would not mind driving this as a small city car, small commuting car, especially if it's hybrid. The hybrid variant of this would probably get somewhere between 50-60 miles per gallon. And then if they decided to make an electric version of it, forget about it. I would sign my name immediately. Yes, I have kids, but holy cow, when I'm driving to work and running about the city by myself, I'm not in a small car, and I'm always by myself. So I would love to have something this small to just run around in, and the fact that it's a Lexus, yeah, I have a bleeding heart for this potential vehicle already. But we're gonna stop going over pictures on that and hop on over to the next article. The next one is covering NXs being built in Canada. So Toyota plans a Lexus SUV investment for Canadian plant. So they're dumping a lot of money into this Canadian plant, which is good for Canada. And I think it's good overall for the market here in the States as well. Yes, I do have a small leaning towards Japanese built vehicles, more of a nostalgic thing more than anything. I just love the idea that NXs are built in Japan, and I love the idea that most of the Lexus vehicles are built in Japan, at least model wise, not volume wise. The people there understand very closely the philosophy of and the culture of Japan, and being honorable, and all the things that go into their culture go into Japanese car building, especially Toyota and Lexus. Yes, they are bringing the NX over, but I think it's a good thing. Why? Because Lexus has pretty much been able to duplicate their perfect car making here in America. Now, there are some things that I don't think line up nearly as well as the Japanese built ones, but you pretty much have to speak to a mechanic who's seen thousands and thousands of vehicles to spot the minute And I repeat, minute differences between a North America assembled Lexus and a Japanese assembled Lexus. But I think it's good for North America. Yes, it brings work here, and it does allow Toyota to be more profitable and Lexus to be more profitable. And I want them to succeed because they make the best cars, in my opinion. So I'm not going to dive into this, but it should be starting in 2022 is when you're going to see NXs be manufactured from the Ontario plant, where the RXs are currently being built as well. And I believe this article talks about that the RXLs are also going to start being built over there. We also got news recently, this is similar to this article, because is no longer planning on bringing a lot of their products to Canada. Instead, they're going to bring it to their American plant in Georgetown, Kentucky. And so that left their Canadian plant kind of like, sad down in the dumps because they're losing out on a lot of money there and jobs. But they're going to be filling that gap with Lexus vehicles instead. I'm going to run on over to the next article here because I could spend a lot of time on that. I already did. Mexico dealers clamoring for Lexus get their wish. There's not a huge luxury market in Mexico, and I'm not going to go over much of this article. But there are quite a few wealthy elites. There's no shortage of money in Mexico, but there is a huge disparity of wealth, much greater than there is in America. So like upper middle class in America, or even middle class for that matter, if they want a Lexus, they can get it. Middle class in Mexico, no, right? So Lexus has never brought luxury vehicles to Mexico because they're like, okay, well, the market's just not big enough. They're finally going to do it, and the reason why, there's two reasons. Their Toyota segment is getting very, very popular down there. So they're now the 4th largest retail brand down in Mexico. And so they're like, okay, well, if our Toyota people want a nicer Toyota, they have to go somewhere else. So they're looking to cash in on their previous, customers down there, or current customers. And then we also have this. In 2018 was the best sales and market share ever in the history of luxury sales in Mexico. So the market is growing substantially for luxury cars in Mexico. And we know that's real important for this move for Lexus to make down to Mexico, right? There's got to be a market, and we're seeing on both ends. Not only is the luxury market growing, but their internal market is growing from Toyota buyers. And this is just fascinating to me. I like numbers. So you can see in 2018, look at the changes here. Compared to America, like these changes are very, very different. The percentages here on the right, these volume numbers are low compared to America, like maybe a 1/10 or less. But what is important here is Lexus seeing the growth potential. So Mercedes is up 16%, BMW up 18%, Audi about the same, Acura about the same, Infiniti. Here's the, Infiniti is thinking about closing shop in Europe. They're not doing well in Europe. They're doing okay here in Mexico, but if you look at it, they're selling 2,000 cars. That's not a lot of cars, but they're doing well in comparison to their previous year. Volvo's killing it. Lincoln's doing well, but I know Ford is big down in Mexico, so that makes sense why Lincoln is doing well. I know they have a lot of manufacturing plants down there. Land Rover, why? If Land Rover was able to sell more cars down there, they're probably selling more cars in Mexico than they are in the US right now. That's a joke, but look what they're doing. That is nuts. Jaguar, well, they're the same company, right? But they're doing well. Bentley doesn't make sense. But you can see overall 12% increase in the luxury market, and it's probably going to be even bigger next year. So Lexus had to jump on this. Oh, before I caught on over to the finale and just finish up and say goodbye to you guys, expected models. This is big. So they're going to bring the LS, they're going to bring the ES, all right? The two most popular sedans. They're not bringing the IS and the GS. there's no need to bring those vehicles. They would be much lower volume. So they're thinking, okay, let's bring our cash cows. Now the LS is not a cash cow, but it is creme de la creme, and they have to bring that if they want to be a luxury brand. Bring your flagship. LX is going to be there. Spanish culture really loves big vehicles. They're going to love the LX. They're going to sell a lot of LXs down there. In comparison, like proportion wise, the LX is going to sell a higher proportion down in Mexico, just because it is a Mac Daddy big vehicle. And they're not bringing the GX. So you go from the RX to the LX. The LX signifies like kingship, royalty, regalhood, if that's a word. The UX is going to be great for a lot of the cities. And by the way, I haven't even said where the cities are going to be, but in NX and RX are going to be there, of course. But the cities are going to be here, Mexico City, duh. The Monterrey, did I say it right, guys? Did I say it right? Metropolitan area in northern Mexico, and then Guadalajara, which my wife has family there, in central Mexico. So I'm really excited to see what Lexus does in Mexico, but I need to cut on over and say goodbye to you guys. So that's it for the news this week. I've been a little under the weather. I would have come out with all this news probably a few days ago, but I got strep throat. That's no fun. We saw Lexus going to Mexico. I think that's really good for the company. Yeah, it's going to be a very small increase in sales, but hey, just from Lexus releasing the UX, they're on the positive end of the year. If the UX didn't exist this year, Lexus would be in negative numbers in terms of year over year. So Lexus also is going to be minimizing costs from shipping vehicles from Japan by creating the NX in Canada. This also makes sense because they're going to be able to minimize costs shipping these vehicles down to Mexico. Just put them on a rail line, adios. And last and certainly not least, we're getting a CT replacement. It's going to be a tiny, tiny car. You know, it's so funny because I hate smart cars. I hate how they look. I just think they're the most pointless, impractical vehicles. But if Toyota is going to make one, which they have in the past, I'm not going to talk about that. But if they're going to make one, and it's going to be a Lexus, and it's probably going to be a hybrid or an electric vehicle, I mean, where can I sign? If I can have an LX and one of those city runner cars, what else do you need? Maybe an LC, but that's pretty impractical at that point. What do you guys think of all this news? Don't forget to hit that like button. I'll be covering tons of Lexus news in the future, so something I really enjoy, but I'm getting a little long-winded at this point and my voice is starting to go. So I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.